Good afternoon, America. My name is Jason Neiffer, and I am the tech savvy administrator in residence from the Northwest Council of Computer Education. And this is live from NCCE today, May 5th, 2022. I am a temporary host in for Tammy Dunbar today, but it's my real pleasure to introduce the star of our show today. Good afternoon, good evening, Dr. Darren Clay. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. So excited to be here. It's National Teacher Appreciation Week. So what better week to share some free PD here today?
Outstanding. Well, I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to jump off the screen. Let me know if you need me.
Okay, awesome. So um, as I said, this is National Teacher Appreciation Week. So I just want to pause and thank all of the educators out there, whether you're a classroom teacher, teacher assistant, paraprofessional, bus driver, school nutrition staff, front office assistant, principal, assistant principal, district administrator. We definitely value the work you're doing. As a former school teacher, administrator, definitely honored to say I've been an educator because this is a very powerful and passion-filled profession. So super excited to celebrate this week with you today. With that, I figured it'd be kind of cool to share some of my favorite features, trends, and hacks from this past school year. I thought that'd be a pretty cool way to approach the school year or the end of the school year here as we get ready for summer. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in and have some fun. So I want to do things a little different, all right? Because I'm Darren, so I gotta always do things outside the box. At least that's what they say. So I'm going to start off with a little research, share a little trends, and then we're going to get into the fun part where we'll talk about some features and my personal hacks of things that I like to do and use to make me more productive on a daily basis. So with that, a couple years ago, we did some research on the class of 2030. And I think in the midst of everything that's been going on over the last 2 years, this research couldn't be any more relevant. And, we're starting to see this research be actualized in classrooms, in the workforce, and things of that sort. So, what I'm going to do is just kind of quickly go over this. Obviously, I know everybody can read through this. But if you want to access this, you can go to aka.ms/class of 2030. You can get this full summary report, share it with your school leaders, your district administrators, folks that are involved in education, and just bring awareness to what the research is telling us about our students that are graduating in the future and what they need to be prepared for. A couple things that I want to highlight that I really think will kind of set the tone for some of the features and things we talk about today is this idea about personalized learning. We saw that this can help up to 70% of students achieve more. And students are saying that their pace isn't quite right. So when you think about that, think about all the opportunities, or dare I say, missed opportunities for flexible pacing in the classroom. This idea that, pacing can be adjusted if you leverage tools, right? If you leverage technology. Technology is just a resource. It's not to replace any single person, but it's a resource that can create that flexible pacing. So I definitely want to start there. And then you see a lot of attention going towards SEL, this idea of social emotional learning, student well-being, and things of that sort. We saw to 51 teachers report that strong relationships with their students. However, conversely, only 34% of students agreed with that reflection from teachers. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see the differences in opinion and viewpoints from students versus educators. Moving right along. So we talked about the students of 2030. We also need to talk about the gaps within the staff of 2030 and having those future ready teaching practices in play. So when we think about this was so alarming when we found this. Up to 5 generations. That's right. Not 3, not 4, but 5 generations will work alongside each other in a given school. And dare I say, in a given grade level or a different or given content area. So just imagine the different dynamics of your average PLC team in the years to come. A lot of things to account for when you think about these different generations serving our scholars. And how can we, as educators, those who support educators, how can we accommodate for this and meet everybody where they're at in terms of the teacher's perspective? Another thing that I thought was important was about only 38% of teachers felt that they were prepared to navigate diverse student groups, right? We know this is a big topic in today's education, rhetoric and research around how do we support diverse student groups. So definitely something I took away from the research. So I wanted to start there. Um, Thanks for indulging me in a little research, but I think that really sets the foundation for the fun that we're going to have here during the rest of our time today. So the 5 biggest trends that we found, and this is based off Forbes research. So this is published by Forbes. So if you just want to go to Edge and search in Bing for the 5 biggest education and training technology trends of 2022, you'll find this article. I'll go ahead and summarize a few takeaways that I had. So one thing is remote learning. Remote learning is here to stay. I think everybody has seen that. And when I say here to stay, I don't mean necessarily in the format that we had to start in, but more so the concept of being able to shift to digital instruction, virtual, live, synchronous, and asynchronous instruction. I think that's important to remember. And as you think about that, I want you to think about the word remote learning and also think about another term, which many of you probably have heard, is hybrid learning, right? This hybrid learning. So you think about remote learning, students being essentially remote. When you think about hybrid learning, I want you to think about this idea of space and time, where you can have same time, you can have same space, you can have same time, different place. You can have different time, different place, or different time, same place. So these idea of face-to-face live sessions, right? That's what we're most familiar with. But what about asynchronously distributed interaction through group projects? So all of those things are things to consider as we think about the biggest trends and what we need to prepare for and reflect on as we go into the summer months here. Another thing I think we can all agree upon as fellow educators is the idea of lifelong learning. And what this suggests is that since the technology is changing so quickly, our skills have to adapt so quickly. So we are natively becoming these lifelong learners. Naturally, it's just an organic process that the research is showing us. Like, people are just learning. They're taking micro credentials. They're signing up for classes on their own will, just taking these opportunities to grow and learn and developing these new competencies on an ongoing basis for career and business success. So I thought that was really interesting. The third trend here is immersive learning technology. There's a brand new term, breaking news. It's called extended reality, also known as XR, which covers the virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And this concept is designed to create an immersive and engaging learning opportunities, which is very, very interesting. And the reason this is becoming the forefront of conversation is this idea that attention spans are dropping for students. We're accustomed to absorbing information in ultra fast and bite sized attention grabbing chunks. So this is going to be interesting, but you heard it here first. Extended reality, also known as XR. Don't forget, that's an up and coming trend. We're going to wrap up with our last two. This one is no surprise: AI and automation in the classroom. One thing I'm really proud about being here on the Microsoft team is our new tool called Reading Progress. Reading Progress really leverages AI and automation to automate and give students a personalized experience with reading fluency. So if you haven't checked out Reading Progress, please, 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 I encourage you to do so. The last thing, which is actually pretty cool, is this concept called nano learning. And it's a new EdTech concept where you can get ultra bite-sized lessons exactly when and where you need them. So when you think about this paradigm, I want you to think about, it doesn't even matter if you don't need something in the next 2 hours. If you need it right now, since it's so bite-sized, you can always relearn it. So it's this idea that, like, you can continue to relearn. So for example, couple buddies of mine, I'm trying to be a better cook here. I'm not claiming to be Chef Clay here, but I'm trying to be a better cook. A couple of buddies of mine, have shown me these different recipe videos, and they're literally like 90 seconds, right? But they're so informational. If you watch it for 90 seconds, you pretty much know how to cook that full meal. So that's where I kind of conceptualize this idea of nano learning and how it can relate to the classroom. You're trying to figure out this instructional strategy or this new practice or this new way of teaching. That's where nano learning kind of comes into play. So be on the lookout for that. Nano learning. And I encourage you, if you actually lead PD or support PD, consider using some nano learning. How can you chunk your 30-minute to 1 hour session? How can you chunk that? How can you make that flexibly paced for a variety of different age groups of teachers and preferred learning styles? So definitely something to consider. All right. So we talked about research trends. Let's dive into some fun and let's look at some features. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on Teams, and then we also have some brand new features in PowerPoint Recorder. And then one thing I'm really excited about, recently launched our transition to MS Learn. So with MS Learn, it's going to be a bunch of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to share a few things here. And I'm going to start off with some class insights. So this is an example of a class team, right? So within this class team, I can go to insights, and I'm going to get a bunch of data here that I think is pretty phenomenal, right? So I get spotlight cards seeing, okay, what's going on with my students? How are my students doing with meetings? Are they attending meetings? Are my meetings starting late? Are my meetings going over? What students submitted assignments? Oh, I see all students submitted the Romeo and Juliet assignment. I must have done a good job teaching that particular lesson. But you get reports on digital activity assignments, reading progress, reflect, and communication. So you get all these different types of reports. So for example, if we click here on digital activity for this particular class, now again, this has to happen in a class team, but I can go here and kind of dig deeper to see what's going on with these particular students that are in my class. So I can surface and kind of drill down and click on this particular day, and I can see, okay, this is how the student was feeling that day. I can see that Brianna attended the meeting. I can see that Colette was feeling tired this day. So I get that digital activity. I can also scroll down a little bit here and see my reflect data. So I'm going to click here. So think of reflect as a quick check-in to check in on the well-being of students. That can be customized. So you can check in on the well-being of students right after a lesson. You can drop that in your OneNote and add a reflect to your OneNote and ask how students are feeling about a particular topic, which is just phenomenal, right? So you get that real-time data and you can react to that as a teacher. So this is some of my reflect data here that you can see. You can see what's going on. So if you're noticing a trend here and you're seeing that, for whatever reason, students are not having a good day, generally speaking, you can kind of pause and see what's going on with students over time. So it's a really cool way to collect that data. And you can filter here by questions around, maybe personal and social questions, learning-based questions. So learning questions based on actual instructional content that you delivered, and our goals and intentions, right? So that's really spot on. I think that's pretty cool. And again, this can happen inside your class notebook as well. So this is a way you can ask questions about a particular lesson. You can drop it directly in a OneNote class notebook page. To do that, you would need to be on Teams for the web and also OneNote class notebook for the web. Do have plans for moving that to our other versions of OneNote and Teams, but right now it's available on the web. Just FYI. And the one thing I'm really excited to share with you, if you haven't checked out Reading Progress, this might be your first glance, but it's an awesome way to track student fluency rates. You can see reading accuracy. You can see mispronunciations, omissions, insertions. You can filter here by genre. You can filter by reading level. You get all of this rich data. And I'm also going to show you average words per minute. So say if you're an educator, you're going through you're going through your different interim or benchmark formal reading fluency checks, and or you're going through kind of some informal weekly reading fluency checks, or if you're even going through the RTI process and you need to track data and be able to articulate that to your fellow teachers, your RTI chairperson, and parents, you can pull this data up right here. And this goes back to the trend around automation and leveraging AI to kind of support your workflow. You can also identify challenging words. So you can see this word was mispronounced 10 times. So that might be an opportunity to create a challenge assignment where there's a list generated of these challenging words to provide extra practice, and students have to work on practicing those words. So you're able to capture all that here. I'll show you real quick. Again, this is just for anybody who's never seen Reading Progress. One of my favorite features of this school year. If I go here and I actually go out, I'm going to go to my 4th grade here. Here we go. I'm going to go to my 4th grade and click on my geography lesson. This is an example of what a student would submit. I can literally listen to the student Ashley. I can listen to her read. And again, she did this all within the confines of her individual workspace. So imagine yourself having centers or having a dedicated time for silent reading. Students can practice their fluency, and you can pull from over 100 passages that are already pre-baked here, that we use, that you can leverage here, and it'll already be automatically uploaded for you. Again, captures everything from words per minute, accuracy rate, and all these other components to that. So you're able to capture that there. Not going to spend too much time on this. Again, I get excited about this, but Mike Thompson actually recently did an NCC live. So definitely go back and watch that, or you can find more information online around Reading Progress. But again, one of my favorite features. So lucky me, I got to show you, right? So going on to another favorite feature of mine, I'm just going to go ahead and share this with you. A couple other favorite features. We talked about class insights. I'm going to go ahead and share loop and pinned messages. Great for workflow. So say you're working with your teammates and you guys are working on, just general collaboration, and you're in chats. You can do this thing called a loop. Within the loop, I'm going to go ahead and start a message, and I'm going to actually use Kara here. Within a loop, I'm chatting with Deborah, even though she's offline. She's a fellow teacher at Pineview High School. Even though she's offline, I'm going to go ahead and create a loop. Now, when I create a loop, I have a few options here. I have the option to create a bulleted list, a checklist, numbered list, paragraph, table, task list. But say we were like on the same PLC team, or we were working in the same department, and we really needed to get some stuff done before the end of the school year, right? So I'm going to create this list, and I can name this end of year checklist. I'm going to create another one, name it grades. Another task, final exam. I'm going to create another task around graduation, and I can assign that to Deborah, right, if I need to. Here we go. Let me hit enter first. Send this off. Hold on. Let me minimize that. Here we go. If I need to assign this to Deborah here, I can do that just using the @mention button, and now it's assigned to Deborah. If I needed to assign it to myself, I can also assign that to myself. Of course, I want to select the date, so I'm going to select tomorrow. I'm going to select a couple weeks for this one. Give myself a little bit more time, right? So you see, this is how a loop works. The coolest thing about this, I just got a notification in my email about me being mentioned myself in a loop component. Deborah will get that same emails. Again, this triggers the collaboration, and it's a cool way for us to be able to use this loop. The coolest thing about this can update in real time. So Deborah can be in here making her updates. I can be in here making my updates. We can add somebody else to the party so we can have a ton of fun. And again, there's different ways to do this. To access it, it's going to be in the bottom of your conversation pane inside the chat inside the chat pane here. But it's going to be at the bottom of your conversation pane, and you're able to use bulleted lists, checklists. I use this with my peers all the time, and we work on projects, and we're able to type things out, and we don't have to worry about sending the message, then somebody coming back with a brand new message, and then we have to edit the previous message, etc., etc. So it's pretty cool. Check it out. It's called Loop. We'll drop a link to this in the show notes, but I think it's a really cool tool. So that was my second one. The other one that I really like is pinned messages. So say me and Deborah had this long chat thread, and we were sending each other gifts, and it's one of my favorites actually. We were sending each other gifts, and we were having this long message, and I, for whatever reason, wanted to make sure this was on the top of our chat message pane. Every time Deborah came to this chat, I want her to see this GIF. I just go here and click pin, and now it would be at the top. So it gives Deborah a nice little reminder of that I'm always looking at her and cheering her on, right? So that's a cool way to do that. Hey, Tammy.
Hey, how's it going, Darren? Crazy
Going great.
traffic. Happy to be here with you. I've never thought of pinning a GIF up there like that. I love it.
Yeah, it's a quick way to spark some fun there. So yeah, so we talked about Loop, we talked about Insights, we talked about pinning messages. The next thing I want to show you real quick is PowerPoint Record. So we, Mike Tolson, which I'll refer to him towards the end of our time, he is like the source of truth. He has all the quick tutorial videos. So I definitely encourage you, if you haven't checked them out, to go search for Mike Tolson, and he'll be able to share some quick tips on how to use PowerPoint Record. But I'm going to show you real quick. The thing I like about this is you can click record here. And again, let's go back to what we learned about in the research and the trends. We learned that this idea of nano learning, this idea of, quick, fast paced, small chunk, bite-sized information for students and adults is becoming more and more of a trend, right? We learned that when we talked about our trends here. One of the things I want to bring to your attention is you can actually record your nano learning. You can get some practice with nano learning by clicking record here. So when you do that, hold on, let me minimize that 1 second. When you do that here, do it this way.
And that record is only available on PowerPoint Online. Is that correct?
Actually, I'm using PowerPoint Desktop for this.
It's on desktop. Sweet, sweet.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to reverse something real quick and share my other screen, just so you guys can get a nice view of that.
Yeah. Yeah, because the online has so many additional features that are awesome.
Yep. Here we go. This is what I want to share here. Perfect. All right. So if I click record here, here we go. You should be now seeing the record view, right, Tammy?
Yes, miss. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, so this is new too. You have a teleprompter now. So this is like real deal backstage, ESPN. Like I am mic'd up, ready to go, ready to record, right? It's showtime. Wow. So I'm actually gonna show you really quick. You can click record. It's not showing my camera, obviously, because I'm using it for our session here today, but you can show your camera. You can select camera, you can blur your background, you can select different views here, teleprompter view, presenter view, slide view. So you can do the full out recording. You can also ink here and highlight different things on your screen. But I think this is super important to consider, especially if you're going to adopt this nano learning trend. So definitely worth considering. One thing I will say, after you record and you hit export, you'll be able to export. You almost got it right. Not just HD, but 4K. I still got to get a 4K TV. I'm still on SD, I think. Tammy, I got to step it up.
Oh
You
man.
can you can actually export to 4K, which I think is just phenomenal, right? So you have that ability to do that there. So I'm going to actually stop sharing this screen and reshare my other screen. So that was PowerPoint record. And next thing we're going to move on to is a brand new, I don't necessarily think it qualifies as a feature, Tammy. I just
Okay.
decided to name it this, but it's actually a new resource. Dare I say, it's called MS Learn. I know Tammy is definitely very familiar with MS Learn, but it's a new resource that will knock your socks off. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you MS Learn. And you should be seeing my screen. Yep. So if you go to MS Learn, and again, you can just type in your search engine MS Learn. We have a brand new educator center. This is super cool. So if you click here and you go to overview, it'll take you to this page. And there's so many things that come with it. I mean, there's so many courses. You can find your learning path. We talked about earlier, one of the trends we're seeing is a lifelong learning kind of approach to our work, because there's so many skills that we have to kind of build up over time. This is something that's definitely a testament of how powerful that would be. You can even use MS Learn to take certifications, right? You can send students here, they can take certifications. You as an educator can use this space to study for certifications just by clicking here. One thing I also want to share with you when you think about MS Learn is a couple more components that come with it. This will include 360 modules. 360. I mean, you want to be a life learner, this is where you start. Let's see who finishes first, right? I put my money on Tammy. I know she's a high flyer. You can learn collections to share curated set of content with students and colleagues. So you can like have these collections that you can just send out. If you're like me, you've probably been in scenarios where you've had to like copy all these links and like send them in an email and summarize it. You can actually prevent that and create these learn collections. Gamification elements. You can earn badges, trophies, and points along your journey. Okay, good way to brag on yourself. Over 70 languages. So we definitely want to be equitable here and support many languages. This one is pretty cool. Not going to get too deep into all of this piece, but just imagine this can be embedded into your professional development platform. So if you're in a district that has a PD platform, there's some technical pieces that come with that where you can get assigned a learn module, right, through your PD platform. So I think that's pretty cool. So I wanted to share those items with you. So we talked about research, some trends, some features. I'm going to quickly go over my personal favorite hacks. So one of my some of my personal favorite hacks start with Windows 11. So if you haven't tried Windows 11, sorry to tease you here, but it may encourage you to consider it. So when you think about Windows 11, there's this thing called Windows snapping. So I can click here and this really, like say I need just something to read on the right, but I need to be productive on the left. I can drag this over here. And let's say I wanted to be productive and use this space here. I can use this space here to actually, study, learn, create content. And say I needed a third space for whatever reason. I typically don't do more than 3 or more than 2, but some people like to do 3 and 4. This is pretty cool. You can have your major content on the left, and you can have some more content over here. So you can have, you can pull different parts of your, content over here. So I can have my OneNote over here, my page that I'm working on over here, and just my regular browsing page over here. So you have those different windows to select from that are pretty cool. Multiple desktops. I'm not going to switch the desktops now because that would just exit me out the meeting and we don't want that. But if you see here at the bottom right hand corner of my screen, there's multiple desktops. I can rename these desktops. So if I want a quote unquote email desktop just to work on like emails and just focus on the emails, I can do that. If I wanted a desktop for Teams and that was going to be my collaboration desktop, And then I wanted a desktop for web browsing. You can create all of those. You can customize the background so you can quickly identify those. But you definitely have the option to use multiple desktops, which is just super cool. The other thing I want to show you real quick, as we kind of level set on where we are. I think I lost you. Here we go. There we go. As we level set where we are, the other feature I would love to show you is Edge. So I know everybody uses Edge. Some of you may know these two hacks, but some of you may not. So I'm going to take the liberty to kind of share these real quick. The first thing is a collection. So we talked about collections a little bit in the sense of MS Learn earlier. But this is a collection where, say, all of these web pages I'm on right now, I just wanted to save those, maybe for browsing later, and or maybe for sharing with a peer or a friend or a fellow teacher. I can hit this plus button and add a collection, right? So I can stay organized, and I can add this current page. I can add all of these pages to collections. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. So now I have this new collection with this one page. I can select this. I can copy and drag it to another place, or I can just quickly hit share here and share this out. I can send this to my OneNote. I can copy it and get the link, or I can export all of my web pages to an Excel document. So it's pretty cool what you can do with collections. Another thing that I know everybody listening is guilty of before. I know I'm not the only one here. Could be wrong, Tammy, but
We'll
I think we've all been guilty of opening a private browser just to, open another email address, or possibly, not have your content from one profile, confused and logging in and out of usernames and typing in different passwords. I think we've all been guilty of that before. There's a solution for that called Edge Profile. So under here, I have all of my profiles where I can search and click on, this profile, and all of my passwords from those profiles are saved. So it's super cool. Instead of me opening up all these incognito private browsers, I'm able to just create these profiles, and all of my content and information, history, etc., will be synced with that profile. So definitely one of my favorites there. Another thing I'll share with you real quickly, I'm going to go to, now this is something I use, I would say, about 3 times a week, Tammy, believe it or not. Yeah, this next hack here, it's not new, but if you haven't heard it, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that, somebody may have not heard this before, just because it's a time saver. We've also all been guilty of trying to find time where everybody can meet, and you end up starting with one email with maybe 5 people on that email, and you're trying to find time when everybody's available to meet, right? Yep. So instead of doing that, you can use a tool called Find Time. That's a build add-in directly inside of Outlook. I can click here. I can click on Find Time. If you've never used it, you probably don't see it automatically. So you would just need to click here, and you would click here, and you would get add-ins, and you would just type in the word Find Time, all one word. It's going to be this orange colored icon here. But if I click here, I'm going to go ahead and type in a few people: Deborah, Bruno, and Omar. I tried to meet with them. This is just an example here. I can click here, add my Find Time. And what this would do, it would allow me to set, so if they're in your organization, you'll be able to see when they're available. If they're not available, it may have like a little red kind of human icon here, or an orange one or yellow one to indicate that they may be tentative, right? So if I click here, I see everybody's available. So I can click here, insert that. I'll get notified when folks vote on this with this meeting poll, and I can have it auto schedule when everybody reaches a consensus. You can turn that on. There's sometimes when you may not want to do that, but you can also lock the poll for attendees. So if you want to lock that poll, you can. But it's automatically, going to share a Teams meeting invite. You can deselect that if you choose to, and say if you wanted to do an in-person meeting like in your actual school, you can do that as well. But for this purposes, I'm going to add this to my email, and boom, it's right there. I've actually already done that. I'm sharing an example of when I've already created one. And I also used a form poll right in the meeting here. But with this one, I sent this out, and I'm just going to show you how it looks like to actually complete the find time to give you the full picture here. So if I go to Omar's profile here, and I see Kara invited me to a meeting, I'm going to click on the 5 options. And I can actually select my preference. I want to say no, prefer, yes, yes. And I'm going to vote. My vote's been submitted, so I can see when Deborah votes. Deborah has not voted. As you just heard, my notification came through that Omar voted. Really cool way to schedule meetings, and it's going to save you 80% of those back and forth emails around when you're available and when you're not, or when you are available and when you're not available. So that's my second to last hack. The last hack I'll show you is one of my favorite. I call it my first love in Microsoft, which is OneNote. There's a tool in OneNote called Onetastic, which is a library of what we call macros. Think of like the small programs within OneNote. And I can do everything from having a table of contents to adding a new macro, to having a calendar launch where it shows me all the edits over time in that specific OneNote. I have all of those things to pull there. I can also pull from here and manage my macros. So I can search for different macros over time. I can see what's been installed and what's not been installed. So the very cool tool. To get there, I'll just show you real quick how to get there and how to download this.
Yep.
You can search by just going to get Onetastic, but I already have it pulled up. This is Onetastic. It's a free tool that only comes with OneNote, the desktop version. So you have to have OneNote, the desktop version. But to get that, we'll add this in the show notes. But to get that, get Onetastic is definitely a cool tool that you can use. Everything from, the Meet One calendar. You have those different features. You have table of contents. You have a plethora of different things here. If you wanted to check out what they call macro land, you can insert a monthly calendar, sort through pages, resize images, a weekly planner. So many cool things that you can add to your OneNote if you're a heavy OneNote user. So as we summarize our time today, definitely want to get back to, we talked about some hacks and want to get back to how you can learn more. I encourage you to check out Mike Tolson on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Also, the Tech Community blog and MS Learn. Feel free to leverage those tools as you see fit, but definitely a great way to move things forward. So I'm going to pause. I know I shared a lot. Tammy, feel free to ask any questions or if anything came up in.
Yes. Question on the teleprompter. Does it move on its own or do you have to move it yourself?
You have to move it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question. You have to move yourself.
Somebody noticed you're in Windows 11 environment, yes?
Yes.
How did you get the Windows icon all the way to the far left?
That is so funny. Like that, many people ask me that. I saw it. So I didn't I'm going to be honest. I didn't discover it. I saw it on somebody's screen, and I was like, are you on Windows 11? Because mine is in the center. It's on the taskbar, so you can either go to settings, which I love this settings view, but go to taskbar settings.
Okay.
In here, and you can click here. Wait. Let's see. Hold on.
No, it's fine. It's like once you do something, it's hard to remember
Yeah,
where.
it's like a one-time move. Hold on. Let's see.
I mean, mine's still in the middle, and I was looking at yours going, I mean, I don't mind it in the middle, but that's a more familiar environment for me.
There is a way to do this, and I'm going to find it out. I've done it one time. But yeah, any questions in the meantime why I find that again?
Well, Maria is obsessing over the functionality with Loop. I don't know if she has questions, but she is super excited. She's mentioned it several times, as has Jason. So I think that's been the big discovery for a lot of people is Loop.
Yep. And hopefully that should be coming out. If you don't see it yet, it should be coming out. Mike Thompson has a YouTube on it, so you can kind of get some more information on it.
Yeah. Mike Thompson has a YouTube on everything.
Yeah.
He's thorough.
Yeah.
Well, this has been absolutely incredible. I super appreciate you being on for this last session for this 21-22 school year. And it was fantastic. All the hacks, all the great tools that you use. And Darren's got all of his digits up there. So you can follow Darren on Twitter. You can follow Darren on LinkedIn. He is a wealth of information. But even though this is the last Live from NCCE just for this school year, we'll start up again in September. You can still continue the learning and find the best free PD by going to MS Learn and going on there and doing that. Plus, we've recorded all of our sessions from this year, and we'll be sending that out on social media as well as amplifying MS Learn. So there are a lot of things that you can do over the summer break. Are we counting the days, Darren?
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there.
Almost there. But I know teachers, we're going to start obsessing. We'll probably take the first week off and sleep in, and then it'll start being, okay, wait a minute, I could do this when I start my classroom back up, right? We can't help but think about it. So I really appreciate your time. Apologies for my being late, traffic, whatever. But thank you for your time and for your talent. And everyone, thank you for tuning in for Live from NCCE. We will be looking forward to seeing you again next school year. But in the meantime, be good, play nice, don't fight, show your toys. Have a great summer. And Darren, again, our thanks from Live from NCCE. Bye, everybody.